So I'm gonna show you the setup that I have, and we're gonna run this, and I'm doing it on the weekend, A, because my wife thinks this is a terrible idea. This is a working fridge, it does have our food in it, and if it doesn't run for over 2 days, I'm gonna be here to monitor it, to plug it back into grid. I've got a watt meter hooked up to my inverter, so I wanna see, A, how many watts does this, what's the max wattage that this fridge pulls on startup when that compressor runs. And this watt meter actually will monitor and record the highest wattage that refrigerator pulls throughout this test. It's also going to give me the amount of watt hours cumulatively that it ran off of this battery, but I also have a shunt hooked up too, so that's going to give me the same information too, so we'll be able to compare to make sure everything is kind of kosher with one another. But let me show you the setup, and we're just going to get this thing going to see how long this battery and this inverter setup will run this full-size residential fridge. And just to show you, this fridge is working. It is cold in there. We've got stuff in there that we use. And it is cold. But I've got my 3,000 watt inverter. I've got the watt meter hooked up on the side. And I'm gonna be using a 24 volt battery for this setup to see if there's any more efficiency gain using a 24 volt setup instead of a 12 volt. So this, you can see, is from DJLBERMPW. What a name, huh? 24 volt, 100 amp hour, 2,560 cumulative watt hours is what this thing is rated for. So I've got this hooked up. Everything is good to go. I've got my shunt ready to go. We're sitting at 27.12 volts. I've got my app set up. This is the app to that shunt. So everything is cleared out. Everything is at 0. My elapsed amp hours is at 0. So I'm gonna get this fridge unplugged from the grid. It is behind the wall, and we're going to plug it up to this inverter and start the test. It is 8:57, April the 20th, 8:57 a.m. So let's get this fridge hooked up to this inverter, and let's get this test started. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I think I'm going to call it a wrap on this test. It is almost 9 p.m. Sunday night. And you can see here, hopefully, that I'm up to 97.07 amp hours for a total runtime of 35 hours and 55 minutes. I've still got 2% left on the battery. If that comes through, 2% right there. Might be easier to see right there. But overall, again, this is a 100 amp hour battery, and I was able to get out of this thing, let's see, if you can read sideways, 2,092 watt hours. So that's really not that bad considering the efficiency loss that you're gonna get running that inverter just to power that fridge. So to get, you know, over 2,000 watt hours, I'm gonna consider that a win. I think that's pretty good, because again, remember, this thing is rated at 2,560 watt hours. So overall, I think it was a pretty successful test, guys. I was pretty much able to run it for, I'm gonna say I could probably run it for 40 hours. I just don't want this to cut off in the middle of the night. That's why I'm cutting it just a hair short, because I don't want all of our food to spoil, but I'm pretty sure I would be able to get up to around 40 hours of total continuous runtime off of that battery. So I don't know if that helped anyone. I don't know if that gives you an idea of kind of what you need to do to size your system. Now again, this fridge is around an 11 or 12-year-old fridge. The ambient temperature this weekend was around 80 degrees. So that number is going to change if it's colder or warmer. That compressor has to run more or less. So there's a lot of variables in this test. But for me, this weekend, running that battery, I'm going to say I was able to get approximately 40 hours. And the battery did great, the inverter did good, and the fridge is cold. So there you go, gang. That's what I do on my off weekends where I'm bored. So anyways, it was fun for me, and we'll see you folks soon. Thanks for watching.